panelists on the dais and very distinguished audience here. One thing that India has repeatedly been saying, and I would like to use this forum to repeat it, that India has never compromised on the quality and it will never compromise on quality. What we need to distinguish basically that the regulatory framework, the regulatory regime in various parts of the country's world, it has been evolving and it's dynamic. What regulations you have today, you may not have tomorrow. There would be some changes. I wouldn't say improvement, I would say changes, because it's very difficult to distinguish what is a higher standard of regulation and what is a lower standard of regulation. But what we want to emphasize very clearly, that everything that we stand for should be science-based. At no stage, processes should completely overshadow the science-based evidence. And the patient safety angle, which is so important, should remain central. At times, weightage, undue weightage, is accorded to a particular process which may not be contributing even 0.1% in the overall cumulative process outcome of a particular company. But if we get stuck only with that particular point, then perhaps I am losing a bigger picture. The bigger picture should never be lost sight of. And as I said, the very fact that the maximum number of manufacturing facilities which are USFDA approved, over 330, they are in India. The maximum number of ANDAs, over 2,400, are owned by Indian companies. This by itself is an indication that the quality has never been an issue with the Indian companies, and Indian companies have been striving for better and better quality. But it should not so happen that today I have a regulation, I bring out a notification, I change that regulation, and whatever is in the process, means prior to that notification, whatever applications are in the process, I apply that notification retrospectively. Means all regulations that any regulator comes up with, they should give due time, due consideration, time for various facilities, manufacturers to comply with, and give sufficient time for the compliance so that they can upgrade their systems. Whatever changes are required, they are undertaken. Government of India in particular, because we consider pharma a knowledge-based industry, one of the flagship exporters company, and this is very central to India's performance in exports. Almost 50% of the total domestic production goes to serve the international clientele. And when I am saying this, this is not only in the interest of Indian companies, this is in the interest of those countries where these supplies are going, because it has brought down their cost of treatment very much. It has reduced their health budget. And if the quality was an issue yesterday, then one could have understood. But quality cannot become an issue overnight. People invest hugely in facilities, And there are interpretational issues also, which we need to understand very clearly. In a particular regulatory regime, definition of adulteration may be different. But in India, adulteration is seen something which is contaminated. Now, if you define, the media will not understand, media will not be able to distinguish between the two. And if a press report comes out, then the whole industry will be seen supplying substandard spurious drugs, which is not the case. So one has to be very careful about the cultural sensitivities also, because one word, legal and technical interpretation in one regulatory regime may be quite different from the interpretation of the same word in another regulatory regime. Therefore, without compromising on the quality, Government of India has taken recently 2 initiatives, which are proactive initiatives, I would say, and wants to give out a very clear signal that India stands for quality. The first is the trace and track. The trace and track mechanism, which has been put in place already for the secondary and tertiary packaging, is already in place since 2012.